Have you ever met people while traveling that in the moment you're convinced are going to be friends for a lifetime, and then after a month or two of sporadic exchanges online, you just kind of fall out of touch? That's what I probably expected was going to happen with my next guest. I first met Ben Masters about 4 years ago to the date, I believe. Myself and Tom were on our way to a Liverpool soccer game, and we needed a place to stay. And Ben knew Tom, so they reached out and we stayed at his house. If you were to judge the likelihood of us remaining friends off of our first encounter, it probably wouldn't have been very high. But over the next number of days, we hit it off to the point where Ben stated that he was going to travel to Canada and live with us for the summer after he graduated. Now, it's easy to make that proclamation after a night out, but all of a sudden, it was April, and we got a text saying, "Boys, I got my plane ticket to Winnipeg." And that really solidified our relationship. Ben is now pursuing his dream of becoming an actor, and it's something that I find very relatable because he doesn't have this background of posh drama schools and knowing all these connections in the industry. He's simply finding ways that he can continue to take the next step forward in that journey. And I know I'm extremely excited to watch where that journey takes him. I really enjoyed catching up with Ben, and without further ado, here is a conversation with Ben Masters. I am now joined by my good friend, the fellow from overseas, Benjamin Masters. Ben, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you? It's been a long time.
It has been too long, and I was just thinking actually that this is right around the 4-year anniversary of us first meeting.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a while. What one eventful time that was, wasn't it?
I was just about to say, I know I've heard the story from your perspective, but if you can remember what your first thoughts of myself and Tom showing up at your doorstep at 6 in the morning was.
It, you know what? It was a weird one because I was at university, wasn't I? And we just went out on a night out. We all had a couple beers. We got busy, dancing, everything all night. I thought you guys would be coming like out with us, but then your trains got cancelled or something like that. And I said, okay, no worries, we're gonna go out. I'll be home when you need me. And you guys weren't there till like 6 in the morning. So I sat in my front room, half drunk, waiting for you guys to come. So, and then I remember you two were just so like peppy and, hey, how you doing? And I was just like, I'm going to bed.
And let's put this in perspective. Tom was very peppy and saying, "Hey, Harry," I was also not going off of any sleep at that point. And then another detail about that was that your heater wasn't working in your house.
Oh my God, it was warmer outside in winter than it was inside my house. I don't know what happened, but the heater was working, but it was just freezing. Like I came downstairs in the morning, I found you curled up on the sofa cushions in your coat, just hugging yourself. I was like, I feel sorry for him.
No, but that was the start of what has now turned to be a very long and prosperous friendship. What
Yeah,
I think, was it that was our second night there that you decided to you made the vow to us in the spoons that you were going to come visit Canada, right?
Oh yeah. I remember that. We went to Birmingham, the Christmas market. Yes, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, we went into Weatherspoons, or have we called over here Spoons? It's like a massive bar chain. And I remember sitting there with my Pepsi in hand, like, right, boys, I'm going to see you next time. And yeah, I don't know whether you guys believe me or not.
I think I was thinking at the time that like if he pulls this off, this is great, but I didn't have high expectations.
Yeah, best way to be.
Well, again, it's just when someone makes a proclamation like that on a night out, you're like, well,
Yeah.
like come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the so then you end up coming to Canada, which was a phenomenal summer in a lot of ways. If you had like one or two takeaways from kind of packing your life into a suitcase and moving to a different country for a few months, what were those few things?
major first takeaway, the immediate takeaway, which got me was you really don't need a lot in life. Don't get me wrong. I did have the luxury of like staying with you, with Tom, and other people while I was over there, which I'm very grateful and thankful for, and I hope to repay it someday. But living out of one bag honestly puts it into perspective. I wouldn't call myself a very materialistic person in life before Canada.
Yeah.
But it really made me minimal now. Like if you see like my room, for example, like it's bare because I'm happy being simple in that way.
Yeah.
And the second thing is it just kind of kicked me a little bit like, oh, why don't you just go for things that you want to do? Does that make sense? Like I always thought I need to go traveling, but I never really did. And then I thought, you know what, why am I beating myself down and just go for it? So then I thought, yes, I'm in that moment. I bought the Canadian like flight, came and see you lot, and then ever since then it's really changed me in a way that I stopped worrying about doing things, and I look at myself saying, what am I happy to do? And then I just go do it. It sounds really cheesy, and I think you'll agree with me here, but that, you know, that tacky saying that traveling changes your life, in many perspectives it does.
Well, especially when you travel the way that you did, where you weren't going on vacation and you weren't like living in resorts. It was, you just went and like picked up and lived in another country.
Yeah.
Which I think there's a big difference between people going on vacation and actually like living somewhere else. And so you talked about doing what you love out, and this is something I'm actually curious of. Like, at what point did acting become a thing that you're like, this is something that I can potentially see myself doing?
Honestly, I've ever since I was really young, I loved drama. I love drama. I love like going into drama class and like the fun games as you do in school.
Yeah.
And I play like, you know what I mean? In school, you're kind of worried about what people think about you and like, oh, he likes drama, he's a weirdo. And it's like, it's not the case as you get older, of course. But it's because when I went to Canada the first time, I was making YouTube videos like Tom. And I loved that performing to the camera and like that element of that. And I thought this is a way that people don't judge as much, because it's like YouTube was cool, it's trendy, it still is.
Yep.
But it's not that classic dream of failed actor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot less stigma behind it. But then when I came back from Canada, I realized YouTube wasn't for me. Maybe not so much what I was, for example, when I was hanging around with Tom, and he's done very successful in what he's done, the sneaker videos, the vlogs, the traveling, the luxury stuff. It just wasn't something I was majorly into.
Yeah.
So I think that's what kind of put me off YouTube. Nothing to the guy. I love the guy to bits. It was just his content was not the content I wanted to create.
Yep. And
then when I came home, I was like, okay, what parts of that journey in that light did I enjoy? And I love the cameras, I love performing, I love thinking of a storyline, storyboard, all this stuff. And then I just said one day, I like drama. I enrolled in a drama class, like a beginner one, fell in love with it, auditioned for an agency here, which is like an academy for people that have been to like drama schools. I somehow got in, and I've just been loving it ever since. Like every week was a new challenge, and it's weird. It's not so much materialistic, because like I said, like going to Canada made me feel I enjoy the simple life. But you know that inner fulfillment you have of finally going for something you've always enjoyed but was always worried about?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then, so you're in a room with people who have done acting basically their whole lives. At what point of those more like advanced classes when you were working at the agency were you like, I belong here? Or was there, do you remember a specific kind of time frame that clicked for you?
Yeah, definitely. And it's very interesting you say that, because you know that whole stigma, like you have to be the best in the room. I really don't believe that. Like, I think you'll agree as well. If you're the best in the room, you're in the wrong room. And,
yes, especially at the point that you're at in your development.
Exactly, yeah. So I remember sitting in class one day and seeing a scene happen between two people I just met. And I was honestly like, you know, when you sort of get lost in it, like you're just watching them have this conversation, you're like, whoa. And then you forget you're actually watching two people that are totally not in the situation. And at that moment, I was like, this is a world I want to be in. Because I was like, it's so creative, it's imaginary, it can just take you as a viewer or in the scene on different levels and like mental pathways that can reach emotions. And it's so strange because like, as guys, we're like, you gotta be tough. You gotta be like, men don't talk about feelings, men don't get emotional. But it sounds weird, but going into those classes was like a sort of therapy for me. Because like one day I'd play a guy where like your mother's just died. How would you react?
Yeah.
Action. And in those moments, it's not real, but you somehow get sucked into it. And then it just feels these emotions flow out of you and you're like, whoa. And then you just have this massive weight gone.
Yeah.
And that's what I fell in love with. It was like, you're constantly bettering yourself by being in that space with those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you feel push back from the more established people in the class at first, or was it something that you almost had to, like, you had to gain respect?
Yeah, I guess so in a way. Everyone was lovely. But obviously when you walk into a brand new room, acting's a very competitive field. So even if they're a different gender to you or they're a different body type to you, everyone looks at each other like they're competition, which is weird, but I understand why, I guess. And yeah, like I didn't go drama school. Some people did go drama school, but upon getting to know them and went out for like a couple of drinks afterwards, they all looked at me when they first met me and thought, oh, he's definitely been working for a long time.
That's and I was a compliment.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, thank you so much. And then I started acting in the class and like, yeah, maybe not. But yeah, there was a couple hurdles. It was, you know what, man? It was just more your self insecurities. Do you know what I mean? Like you're entering a new world and then these people are like saying off credits like, oh, I was in this commercial brand when I was a kid. I went to this drama school. I was in these movies. And it's like, that's insane. I was just sitting there like a kid in a zoo, like, whoa. This is amazing. There's me thinking, oh my God, I can audition for like a Subway commercial. And there's these people sitting next to that are like, we're going to be in big movies. I'm like, whoa. Yeah.
And then what got me thinking there was when they're thinking, oh, this guy must be working a lot. In my mind, I'm like, he has been working a lot, but he has not been working in acting.
No.
But once you graduated university, because you did like broadcast journalism kind of thing,
correct? Yeah.
And you decided kind of not to use that, or there wasn't a job available in that field kind of right off the bat. You went through a year and a bit of just kind of figuring things out. How did you go and approach the jobs that you undertook next? Because you worked in worked retail, and then you also worked construction with your dad. And what was kind of the mindset that you used to just kind of wake up and to be able to go to work the next day?
Honestly, it was there's low moments. I think we could all say that when you know you want to do something in particular and you don't know what that is, for example, because that was before I really knew that it was acting I wanted to do. It was a weird moment in my life, and retail was horrible because it was just one of those things where you wake up every day, no customer wants to talk to you unless they're complaining. But I think the biggest thing that was great was working with my dad, because my dad was a very supportive person to me in that time. And we just created because I never lived with my dad.
Yeah.
In that time of construction, like, me and him created like this really nice bond. Like that was probably the first time in my life where me and him felt like we were father and son. And although it didn't give me the mindset to like chase acting off the bat, like as soon as possible, I was just living for those moments, man. You know, just waking up saying, "You're right, Dad," and like progressively through the months, like our relationship got better. It was more fun. And then when I told him about acting, he was surprisingly like supportive.
Yeah.
Like he always said to me, like, "Ben, I do construction because I like being creative. And this is just a way that pays." But if you can do something like that creative and make a living off it, and you love waking up every day to go to your job, why would you not go for it?
Yeah.
And that's coming from a 50-year-old man, or 60-year-old man, nearly. Wow.
who's worked blue collar like jobs kind of
Whole life.
life. That's an interesting way to put that he does construction because of the creative aspect, and it just happens to be the medium that he was able to use. That's why I've said this to you before, but after meeting your dad, I was like, our dads are like the same person.
They are. I said that to you when I came and stayed with you. I was like, wow, crazy.
So then, because then I was writing out a journal entry recently, and one of the things that came up was the fact that it was kind of related to money and just like prioritizing prioritizing your life in a very general sense. But one thing that I kind of made as a rule at the end was you don't necessarily have to love your job, but you probably shouldn't hate it. And it should allow you to go and pursue the things that you do love.
Yes, completely.
So I guess that's what that working construction did with during that time and then when you decide to do acting, it allowed you to go to classes in the evenings and whatnot. But
yeah.
And it's one of those things that, especially myself right now, because of work not really being a thing, with basketball being stopped here, is humans just need to work. Like, it's just something that we need to do.
Yeah. You'll go insane if you don't. That's the thing.
And I've had enough like somewhat creative outlets, like doing interviews or doing those journal entries. And also I basically have decided that I'm going to train as if I'm a professional athlete, or work out like 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah, why not? You know what I mean? It's not like you don't have the time.
Yeah, it's that I cannot use that excuse anymore. I'm kind of somewhat wrapping up on this. If you have, and obviously the world of acting is unpredictable at the best of times, and not during a global pandemic. But let's say hypothetically this thing gets under control in the next year. Do you have kind of a broad vision of where you'd like to see it take you, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, etc.?
Yeah. I got asked this by one of my teachers, and they were like, what is your aspirations? And it's a very good question in that sort of field, because as well as the majority of people will be like, I want to be rich, famous, red carpet walking actor or actress.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the Canada thing about being simple. Like, I don't care for that. A big thing I took away from it is my goal in life with acting is if I got lucky enough to do a role in anything, but then you or people that don't know me look at that character on screen or in theater and think no one can be that character but Ben. Do you know what I mean? That's my goal. Like, I would love to leave a stamp on a character like Batman, Spider-Man. They all chop and change actors because it's such a big franchise and they need to carry on. But I want there to be like something where only Ben could do that. If that makes sense.
That's a hell of an answer. And what that does is it focuses you on the process of getting better at roles and whatnot. Yes. But I would also say that there's probably, you understand that if you happen to fulfill that goal, that success will be a byproduct of it.
Oh, hugely, yeah. Yeah,
and that's one thing that I try to stress in my writing, especially, is when I make goals of, whether it's within basketball or within content creation, my goal is to do it to the best of my ability. And like, there obviously I have some like kind of nominal goals within that, but it's not that I'm denying myself the fact that like notoriety or financial success could come of it. It's the fact that I do acknowledge it, but those aren't the actual goals.
Yeah.
Like my goal in basketball is not to make $50,000 a year. My goal is just to pay my bills eventually with basketball. And I think that would be kind of the same way that you view acting, is eventually you'd love in probably 3 years to be paying your bills through acting.
Oh, that honestly, forget lavish living or luxurious living. If I'm able to self-sustain myself through bills and rent and food, doing the thing I like I'm not going to say in 3 years, well, life's weird. You never know. I can meet the right person, give me the right opportunity, but it's one of those things, 3 to 5 years time, I could be a consistent character, side character in a TV show. You never know. People may not even like, those actors you see on TV, like, I recognize him, but you never know the name. Even if I become that guy, I will be happy in myself knowing I'm coming into work every day doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing as a society, like, especially in schools, for example, they teach you like, oh, you got to be like the big ones, doctor, lawyer, those sort of things, which are great. And if you enjoy that, bang, you've hit the nail on the head because it's your passion and you're that high class paying profile job.
Yeah.
Amazing. But then that leaves the limbo people that are the creatives that are like, oh, what do I want to do? And there's like, I have a friend at work now and he's like 40 something and he wants to be a painter. That's his career goals. But he's working in a warehouse at a minute like me because of the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
And I love talking to him because he's like, it just takes one painting to make you a professional painter. It doesn't even have to be sold for a lot. And I'm like, that's so true. Like everyone always quits before they even get the first one.
Yeah.
Sense? It's like, it's that classic thing that you said to me ages ago. I remember you saying this to me. It was like, oh, was it quitters never win and winners never quit? That sort of thing.
Something like that. I probably had some kind of motivational quip like that before.
Of course, mate. You wake up, you're the motivational guy. But yeah, and that's another reason why I keep talking to you, because when it comes to like stuff about your basketball business and like just stuff you do, you wake up early in the morning, you work out, just that stuff, like it's that basic human stuff which I admire in people. Do you know what I mean? And that goes back to like, you have to just go for what you want to do. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah, man. And there's a reason, and we've talked about this before, but there's a reason why we've been able to stay in touch for 4 years after like basically a chance meeting all those years ago. And it's very much an iron sharpens iron situation with our relationship. So that's why I always do my best to make sure that I keep you motivated when you need motivation to keep doing what you're doing, and then I receive the same from you. So
that's it, man. Like your circle, as you get older, may get smaller, but if you fill it with the right energy, that's all that matters.
Yeah, so I very much appreciate you being part of my circle.
Likewise.
And it was a pleasure catching up kind of somewhat face to face. I'm looking forward to actually meeting up face to face again sometime soon.
Soon, my friend, soon. We'll go for a beer.
Very good. Oh, nice accent.
Thank you.